Pakistan and India, a nasty divorce, why? Hello, my name is Kayla Ryan, and for my presentation for Pakistan, a global hotspot, I'm going to be talking about one of the most brutal events in history that created the country we all know as Pakistan. This event was called the Partition. Let's briefly review the background of the partition. In 1757, India was ruled by the East India Company on Britain's behalf. However, in 1858, after an unsuccessful uprising, the British dismantled the East India Company, thus having full power over India. The British's power over India was called the British Raj. Under the British Raj, there were many medical advances, including smallpox vaccinations, improved sanitation, and quarantine procedures. These improved conditions caused a rise in population. Because the population was so high, landlords failed to give proper agriculture innovations, causing the Great Famine of 1876. 6 to 10 million people died. A new middle class was established in India. Because of this, a social reform and political action began. In 1905, the British tried to separate Bengal along religious lines. The Hindu-dominated Indian National Congress protested against this plan. This caused Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Khwaja Salimullah, Aga Khan III, Hakim Ajmal Khan to form the Muslim League. The goal of the Muslim League was to grant the rights of Muslims in independence negotiations. Now let's talk about the events leading to the partition. There were many. During World War I, in hopes of the British becoming more lenient politically or granting independence, India provided the British with 1 million Indian soldiers. The Inq and Muslim League approved of this act, but with no avail. In 1919, the British opened fire on unarmed protesters. This action killed thousands of people, causing anger and a stronger desire for change. When the British reigned in India, around 25% of the population was made up by Muslims. The Muslims had different ethnic traits and language and were spread across the country. Bengal and Punjab held the majority of the Muslim population. The religious differences from the Hindus and Muslims was intensifying discrimination. The religious differences caused social differences. They would not eat or study together. Hindus and Muslims drank separate waters. Intermarriage was not allowed. Muslims were convinced Hindus would remove their freedom. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was a lawyer who campaigned to advocate for a state separate for Muslims. He proposed a second nation called Pakistan, Pak meaning pure, and Stan meaning place. He emphasized how pure the Muslim religion is. He believed that it was impossible for Hindus and Muslims to coexist. Jinnah was convinced that the Muslims would be degraded and wanted to protect the Muslims from being the Hindu slaves. Jawaharlal Nehru was the leader of Inq. He was for a united India, but not for peacemaking reasons. He believed that when a government was formed, the majority would be Hindus and Inq would be in power. Punjab had a population of 6 million Sikhs. Sikhs are a very respectable class of Hindus. Although they have the same origins of Hindu doctrines, Sikhs are monotheist. The Sikhs wanted to guard their heritage and did not want to be living in a predominantly Muslim area with no political power. On August 16, 1946, Jinnah and the Muslim League protested to stir up political pressure. Muslims called this day Direct Action Day. Muslims led the attack on the Hindus. The Muslims rioted in the city of Calcutta and attacked the Hindus. Since police were given leave that day, the city quickly fell under anarchy and under the control of the riot. It became extremely brutal and violent. The riot claimed the lives of about 4,000 Hindus and Sikhs. The Hindus and Sikhs retaliated violently. The violence spread across Calcutta to many cities. There were 5,000 people killed, 20,000 injured, and 100,000 people became homeless. Direct Action Day is one of the most tragic days in history that is not often talked about. It took 3 days for the British government to control the violence. Clement Attlee was the new Prime Minister of Britain. In February of 1947, he stated that the British government would give independence to India by June of 1948. Lord Louis Mountbatten was the Viceroy of India, and along with Mahatma Gandhi, wanted a united India. However, the Hindu and Muslim leaderships did not agree. There were many issues that made partitioning India a complex procedure. In northern India, Muslims were in 2 areas that were on opposite sides of the country, with a majority of Hindus in between. The Sikhs wanted a nation of their own, but their requests were ignored by the British. Punjab had almost an equal amount of Muslims and Sikhs. This caused many issues. No one wanted to leave the wealthy land of the province, resulting in the province being partitioned across the Lahore and Amritsar. People wanted to be on the side of the partition that was controlled by their own religion. However, the cost of this was very brutal. There was a brutal fight that broke out. People were forced to leave their homes, which caused 1 million refugees. There was displacement of 10 million people, and 5 million people died. At a great cost, 2 new nations were born. On August 14, 1947, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan was formed. The next day, the independent Sovereign Republic of India was formed. Although 2 nations were born, millions of people were left homeless, injured, or dead. This was a huge turning point in Pakistan and Indian history. However, we don't hear much about it. Hopefully, we can have resources that prevent things like this from happening again, and we can be more tolerant of other faiths and beliefs to prevent violence and discrimination.